Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'm Chief Kevin Brown from the Roosevelt Island Operating Corporation. I welcome everyone. I'm glad that we have these meetings. It gives us a chance to discuss whatever the prior issues are, whatever upcoming issues. I welcome the conversation, and I think that it's very, very healthy for the Roosevelt Island community. I'll excuse the NYPD, our partner, who could not be here tonight. They're wrapped up in the UN General Assembly, and just about every one of their officers are assigned, including their commanding officer. I talked to one of the officers today. They were trying to have someone here as a representative who can answer, any of the NYPD questions. I try not to answer for them. I worked at the NYPD for 32 years and I've been retired for 7 years, so I try not to answer for them. But if questions come up, I surely will be as honest and open as I can. One thing about the UN General Assembly and how it affects Roosevelt Island, because it does. We have the bridge that connects Roosevelt Island to Queens, and because of the UN General Assembly, the bridge goes, the boat traffic, marine traffic, comes down the east side of Roosevelt Island, and all of that traffic causes the bridge to go up and down. It went up about a half an hour ago, and it stays up for about 12 to 15 minutes, and that does cause a traffic backup if you're on Vernon Boulevard or if you're on Main Street. So we send out advisory. We try to actually bear with us during this time. But this is what happened. My second year that I was here on Roosevelt Island as a deputy, Chief McManus, the prior president, Mr. Rosenthal, we went down to Nuisance, and we brokered a deal with them that they would put resources on the island during this UN General Assembly. So right now we do have the ambulance and the fire division. They are on call if we need them, and they'll be here during the duration of UNGA to back us up if we need anything. So we are safe and secure during this time, and we just ask you that you bear with the traffic backups if they do occur. And they do occur at the most odd hours, especially when you want to get off or on the island. So, a couple of things that have happened. I'd like to talk about our past, since we have not met in a couple of months. We had some good things in PSD. We had a book bag giveaway. We gave away about 350 book bags. We had the 9/11 remembrance ceremony that I call, it's just a day where we just don't forget. There were a number of Roosevelt Island residents who were affected and who continue to be affected by 9/11, and we just want to be a supportive organization to those individuals. And I'd like to talk about the crime and what's going on the island. For us, our crime numbers, and I've been thinking about this for some time, about our actual crime numbers as opposed to what our perception is of what's going on the island. And there was a good talk a couple of weeks ago with former police commissioner of New York City, Police Commissioner Bratton, and he was talking about the crime numbers. Our crime numbers on Roosevelt Island are down. I can tell you all of the incidents that of note that happened in our last, since we met. We had a robbery on the island. Two students who both attended child's school. One was a victim, one was a perpetrator. They both were 16 years, one was 16, one was 17, and that was a robbery that happened on the island. The perpetrator, he had a mask, and he ran down to the subway, and that was a robbery. They both knew each other. I like to look at the crime and that type of incident in this sense. We are in New York City. The best that I can do is identify any type of crime incidents, any type of crime patterns, and make sure that we are prepared and that I have my officers out in force. Our safety is our number one goal, and the safety of the community is something that we must have. But Police Commissioner Bratton, he was talking about what people are looking at when they talk about crime, and it's the disorder. That's what we're looking at, that is affecting our community. We have some unfortunate incidents of people who are down there and around the subway, who mental health is a huge issue, not only on Roosevelt Island, around New York City, and they're disruptive to the people who are coming and going, using our transit system. They're disruptive to our way of life, and we call them, it's a disorder. As far as, documented violent crimes, we just don't see that on the island at this time. But we do have this disorder. We also have Dwayne Reed, Walgreens. We have a number of petty larcenies in that location. That is something that is disorderly. We have young people, we have older people, we have people who are going in the store being disruptive to the way that we want to go about our way of life on Roosevelt Island. And that's something that, working with Walgreens, working with public safety, I actually have a foot post in that area. When things happen down there, we're right on top of it. But sometimes the people who, they do things when we're not looking also. They go into the store, they run out, they run down to the subway. I talked about how our jurisdiction kind of ends at the subway, but if we see the person, if we're hot on their trail, we'll go down there. But it's kind of the disorder that is going on throughout the city, and Roosevelt Island has not been spared of that. So that's one of the things, and one of the ways that just identifying this and knowing that we have work to do. Working with Walgreens, I was told that they would not hire a full-time security guard unless one of their people are injured or hurt. We don't want that either, but one of the things is that we have to get control, because we have these petty larcenies, we have people running around the subway. This disorder is what makes us have the perception that we are under siege with crime, and this is our disorder. These are things that we would try to address. My NYPD partner is not here because there was a good thing that happened since the last meeting. We had a number of community complaints about the smoke shop that was right across the street from public safety. These smoke shops have popped up all over the city. They're a nuisance. They're a nuisance. Ours is gone. And this is why. The community pressure, the management of they helped get them out, but NYPD played an instrumental role, and I can tell you how. The lieutenant was here that night. He heard a lot of the community complaints, and there was a program, and it's not a secret, but there was a program in NYPD where they have undercover auxiliary officers who are under the age of 21. They go into these smoke shops. They make buys. They were selling marijuana in the smoke shop. They make buys, and then there's a process where the city then evicts them from their storefront. When the lieutenant was here, we went to the top of their list, and he took care of that in 1 month. He made 3 buys in the location. They were served, and then they were gone. So that is how these community meetings are very, very, very helpful. That we can hear you, we hear your voice. We want to make sure that we're going to keep our place a very, very safe place in New York City. We listen to your concerns. I say it in a way where for me to come up here and speak to you about what we're going to do, we do have plans. A while back, the President, Shelton Haynes, put out a 10-point plan. His 10-point plan, two of the things that really hit home is that we have to concentrate on where things are happening, which we call our hot spots, and then we have our bike patrol. Our bike patrol, the guys on our bikes, they have been phenomenal. They have been everywhere on public safety bike patrol. And not only are they good at it, They want to do it, they want to make sure that the residents see them, and they're riding around. One other thing about this disorder, throughout New York City, this is an issue. The bikes, the electric bikes, how they're going up and down Main Street. Well, what we have done, we've arrested a number of people who drive reckless, who ride these bikes reckless. This is part of that disorder. They're riding their bikes, not stopping at the stop signs. We have a couple of my officers who are just dedicated to this detail. They've made a number of arrests. They've written a number of summonses. You know, a lot of them are the delivery people. I like the delivery people, but they must obey the rules on Roosevelt Island. And that's just the bottom line. They have to obey the rules because it's dangerous. I don't know if you guys have been almost hit by one of these e-bikes, but you know, it's dangerous and it's scary. So we are concentrating on that. Do we see them all? We don't. I'm going to be honest with you. We don't see them all. But I just don't have enough officers to see them all. But do we give out a lot of summonses? Yes, we do. We do. We give out a lot of summonses. The ones in the back area, as soon as they're in the back area, it's an automatic summons. We have all these signs that say that they can't ride in the back. We've confiscated some of their bikes. These are some of the tools that we're using. Do we? Like I said, I'm honest with you. Do we see them all? No. The ones that we see, are we going to address them? Yes. And that is what caused and what into our community with the disorder that is going on. We had another positive, 460 Main Street. Back in January, we were having 20 to 25 complaints per week at 460 Main Street. Thanks to the community, Barbara Parker, she's here. Thanks to the community concerns, the building, they came up with a plan. They met with the community group, Shelton Haynes, REOP. They put in this group called Breaking Ground. And with that group, Breaking Ground, a lot of the issues that were happening down at 460 Main Street, a lot of them were social issues. And I've said this, I was in the police department a long time. I don't know if you could arrest your way out of every issue. Sometimes issues have to be looked at more closely. And there were a lot of mental health issues down there that were addressed with this Breaking Ground organization. The complaints went from 20 to 25 a week to 3 a week. That's a dramatic change, and thank you, Barbara Parker, again, because she stayed on top of us. She demanded that we had to do something with this. Public safety, we have our verticals in that building, 24 hours a day, and we're helping the residents there. I don't think that we could arrest our way out of every situation. Some situations must be dealt with appropriately. Again, we also have issues with parking. Again, we've towed a number of cars. Cars get towed, they illegally parked on the hydrants, parked in the bus stop. When people are trying to get on the bus, it causes issues that we must address. And then the last issue that, other than my crime, like I said, crime is our violent crime, what we call our 7 majors, very low. Very, very low in the community. Mr. Haynes had me do an analysis because he's hearing this from the community that, crime is crime is crime. And over the last 5 years, we average about 25 crimes per year in this entire community. And more than half of them are for domestic violence assaults. And after looking at all the numbers, but perception to me is reality. And I think, and that this is what I'm looking at, is the disorder, is making sure that we're out there. And then the last thing, this is half a public safety issue, transportation issue, the tram. What are we doing about the tram? I can tell you from the public safety point of view, we're keeping the tram safe. We definitely are keeping the tram safe, and if there is a line, the line only represents that the number of people on the tram plaza are at 100 people. Everyone else must wait downstairs, and then that line moves every 7 minutes. We have to keep the people off of the platform from hanging all over the place and making it unsafe. And that's what public safety is doing. I've heard and I've seen other things. There was something that is just not the public safety officer's job. Our job is to keep it safe. And my human side of this, because I've heard this in the community. Can we help people who have any type of challenges? And yes, we do. Yes, we do. If they're online, our public safety officers, our main concern is making sure that the platform is safe. If we see those people, we try to help them. If they come to us, we will help them. There is no one who comes to public safety officer and says, I have this challenge, can you help me? We help you. And we are gonna help you, and that's my directive. And that's just the way it's going to be. But other than the 100 people on the platform, everybody has to wait off the platform, and we go 100 at a time. We will continue to be out there, public safety, to keep the tram platform safe. It has come down to, I have my officers at the tram plaza during the rush hour and during all hours, and they take hourly photos of the lines and of the crowds. I would say if anybody wants to come see the photos that I have, I welcome you, but we do not see unsafe measures down at the tram. And that's what we are focused on, the safety and security of the residents. I'd like to open it up. We'll have questions, and we'll go from there.
Thank you, Chief. One thing, thanks for the report. It's good to hear the good news. And one thing is that, can you make Main Street parking a tow-away zone? You know, to change the signage, because, you know, I'm sorry, our merchants do not deserve a free parking space all day, 7 days a week in front of their businesses. It's not fair, it's not right, and we have some merchants that seem to think that this is their private parking space. And it's, you know, it's a public parking space. This part of the island's always been terrible after 46 years I've worked at. There's no way to make the parking much better, but to at least make it a tow-away zone, because years ago we had diplomats who thought their DPL plates excluded them. The minute they got that car towed to a private parking lot, and it cost them over $100, they never parked again. And it solves the problem. I know it's hard, the gate is full, etc., etc. But to make it a tow-away zone so people think twice before just plopping their car down and leaving it for days on end.
Thank you for your question. You know what? I'm going to look into that, because that's sensible. Because if you commit a violation, then you're mostly eligible to be towed in New York City. So I will definitely look into that. What we try not to do is to overtow, but I will look into that.
Once is usually enough.
I will definitely look into that.
Hi, my name is Brenda Fitzpatrick, and I've lived here for over 40 years. And I can piggyback on what Julie Birdie had to say about the parking. One of the things that I noticed, and I called in to public safety a few days last week, because there were 2 cars parked on the grassy area, right across from the River Cross lawn, right by the water, on the grass. And I was told that they had been, by security, whoever answered at public safety, that they have been given approval to do so. It happened, at least that I observed, for 2 days in a row. My concern is that no one should be allowed to park on the grass, number one. Number two, they have a huge parking garage here, which is Motorgate, that I pay to park my car. And if you're conducting business on the island, part of your business expense is parking. Therefore, park in the garage like everyone else. And that piggybacks on what Judy was speaking about. Many people they park on the plaza by the deli, right next door to Westview. They park on the plaza, on the pavement, not on the street. Forget the street. They're parking on the pavement, on the sidewalk. And I'm told, all these people work in the building, and the building has given them approval to do so. There's a big sign right where they park. No parking, no standing allowed. Okay, but someone in the building gives them approval. I don't believe that that should be right. If I can't park on the sidewalk, why should someone else that works on the island or comes to transact business on the island should be able to park on the sidewalk? That is legal, no matter where you go. If you were going into Manhattan and you had work to do at any of the buildings in the city, you would park on the sidewalk or park on the grassy areas from a park just because we're doing business in the area is unacceptable. And for public safety to go along with that determination is totally wrong and does a disservice to the island. Thank you. Oh, and the breezeway by the Manhattan Park building is a disgrace. At any given time, there are 15 to 20 cars parked there, and we're told, oh, the buildings have approval to do whatever they want. That doesn't make sense. And if we're going along with that, there's a problem.
Thank you for your comment. It is their private property. Manhattan Park, that's their private property. Roosevelt Landings, that's their private property.
Isn't everything public property?
Excuse me?
Isn't everything public property?
No, that's private property.
Hold on, one at a time.
It's private property. 591 Plaza, private property.
One at a time.
And the buildings, if you look in the windows of these cars that are parked there, they've issued passes and they allow their people to park on those properties. And that's the way it is all over New York City. That if you're on private property and it's your property, you can give permission to some people to park there.
Also, if I can add, Chief, if I could also just add, this issue has come up numerous times prior to us having these engagement meetings when we were having the Zoom meetings. It happened at Manhattan Park, CNC, those breezeways, those areas on that they're allowing them to park, they get authorization from their management department. We as the public safety department will only get involved if the management office calls us and says the car is parked there illegally. We could issue a summons on request from the management office, and then if the car needs to be towed, the management office, their security or their management office will call and have the car towed. Hold on 1 second, please. I'll talk and then we'll answer all your questions. All right. So all of these areas, the only thing that we enforce that there's no parking are the breezeways. No one has ownership of the breezeways, and we make sure no one parks on the breezeways. But as far as the 591 Plaza, that is owned by the management department. That's their property. And all in CNC, all those cars that are parked back there, they all have permission from their head of security to park in that area. And we stay on top of that with their head of security on a regular basis. He comes by our office at least once a week to give us a report on what's going on and how his parking is working out and how many cars he's had towed, and we work hand in hand with him. But we really can't enforce stuff that's not our property.
One quick question, Judy Birdie, she snuck in a question, a comment. She said that there is the construction, they're taking up a lot of parking. They're throwing the vests in their car, and we give them summonses. And it's going back to Chief McManus. We've always met with the construction company, and we said they have to park. They have an arrangement with Motorgate where they can park there. And if they they choose to park on the street, we give them summonses.
Right back here.
My name is Melody, and I live at the Octagon on the north end of the island. Every night between 7-11, we have cars driving on the walking path. I cannot tell you how many times I've turned around and there's a car behind me, and I'm out with my dog out between the sanctuary and Lighthouse Park. There are constantly cars driving to and from. I don't know if they just get confused because it's dark and there's not a whole lot of great lighting by Lighthouse Park, but there's always, and the sanctuary has parties, people are lost, they just go onto the walking path. In addition, we have Uber people on motorcycles driving on that path, and we've almost gotten hit probably half a dozen times. And I've called a ton of times about that. In addition to the folks who work at Fuller, love them, understand the service, but they drive really fast and go through all the stop signs. So it's extremely dangerous there at night between 7 and 11. And we're just missing a fatal incident because it's going to happen soon.
All right, thank you. And you are right about the Fuller Hospital driving fast. That is why we put up that speed notice down there, because we had them driving fast. We did a report and we worked with their security, and you know, we're working with them to get them to do and respect our neighbors on the side.
So I had questions, sort of similar, or comment question to what the woman just brought up, but were you saying like the management companies are giving these people parking, but what about like the egress to get to the parking? Because I've also noticed a lot of them driving illegally on the
The promenade.
to get to where they want to go. So maybe the management company is saying, oh, you can park here, but there's not really a way to get there without driving illegally on the promenade, on a place where people walk and, you know, enjoy their time with their families, their dogs, yeah, whatever. So like that, I think, is an issue and maybe a way to address this with the management companies. Like, you want to tell your people they can park there, but there's no way for them to get there safely. So I'm sorry, you can't tell them to park there. But it is a problem. And, you know, she talked about further down near Octagon. I've noticed it, like near Manhattan Park. Like, you know, a lot of times if I go to the grocery store, I'll walk home by the river, so I'll walk down by Manhattan Park and through there, and there's cars like I'm dodging. So that's an issue.
All right, I will definitely look a little further into this.
I think really to the same problem. There's so many cars on the sidewalk. There's small children. You get the impression, because we're on an island with all these nice families, and you have done a great job to make us feel very safe, but we don't feel safe on the sidewalk. I've been out with my grandchildren, and there have been several times where it's really felt like it was way too close to them running in front of a car, or me being in front of a car that wasn't supposed to be there. So I think that, you know, this is an issue that we're all noticing, and I think what I would say is that there's an awful lot of cars going onto the sidewalk to drop off their groceries or to drop off their elderly people or whatever they're doing, because you can't, there's no place to pull over on Main Street anymore. There's so much parking of people who stay there all day long that you really can't, you know, nobody, it used to be you paid and you, for 40 minutes you stayed in that spot. You, Roosevelt Island, the community, got money from that, and that was a good thing. Now, you can really, if you put one of those vests in your car, go get a vest too, and park illegally on Main Street. I'm sure I'd get away with it, but I don't want, you know, I'm not going to do that, but I'm really not going to do that, I promise. But I think that we have to address it. I think that you guys do a wonderful job. You've helped us so much. I commend you for all that you do. But this is an issue that I don't know if you can do it by yourself. Maybe you need help from RIAC and other people on the island, but we really do have to address this. It's getting a little bit scary to be out there. So we're feeling safe, except on the sidewalk.
You're 1,000% right, and we are going to do a better job.
And if we can do anything to help,
I
we're all
can
here,
say, we are
want
going
to
to
help.
we will do a better job, I guarantee you this.
Thank you.
I'll order the signs. Let's say totally.
Hi, I don't want to take the attention away from the parking because I agree that it's a problem, but I want to get back to the tram and transportation. I do see you guys on the Manhattan side of the tram all the time, and I don't take it every day, but I've been on it 4 times since this started. And your guys seem to be outside the turnstile with the lines, making sure you don't get more than 100 people on the platform, which is good. The problem is, when some of the seniors or the disabled get on the platform, they've just missed a tram, so they can't wait, they can't stand up waiting for it to come back, so they sit on the bench. And the hundreds of people come on the platform, and they can't maneuver through the crowd to get on the tram. I've seen many of them try to get on the tram and have to turn around and go back, and that's a never-ending battle, because it just keeps, as you said, the line is fluid, they just keep on doing it. If you could get one of you guys inside the turnstile on the platform to manage the crowd that way, I think it would really be a help.
Well, I'll tell you, we have the tram operators who manage inside.
Yeah, but
That's their job, to manage inside, and we have to get them to do a better job of managing inside. Hold on.
okay.
So, this is what we attempted to do. We attempted to get not PSC officers, but hire aides to help out with inside, and that is the job. OMA, who operates the tram, told us that is their job. And so we are working with them to make sure that they do their job more effectively.
Okay, but their job is to run the tram, and they're, by definition, they're inside the tram. And if there's somebody else who's outside supposed to be managing the line, please let me know, give them a jacket or something.
All right, so you said that you ride the tram. There was always somebody in that booth from OMA.
They don't come out of the booth.
That is their job.
They have to be on the platform.
That's their job. That's what I'm saying. And they have to do a better, we have to get them, and Rihanna's working with them to do a better job at that. Because that's their job.
Okay, but Riyadh knows they're not doing it, so we have a board member here. Howard, what's Riyadh doing about that?
We'll talk about it.
We're going to address the questions to us,
Yeah.
not to anybody else. Guys, one of the things, just real quick, we have no problems answering your questions, and to the best of our ability, and me and Chief Brown will go out of our way to look into things that you have concerns about. That's what these meetings are about. They're about you giving your concerns and us trying to, as we've done in the past, follow through and fix the things that you're looking to fix, or that you're bringing to our attention. But just one at a time, and we'll take one question and then direct it to us. We're the ones, public safety, that are going to take care of the public safety issues. And like what Chief said, for those lines, we're there to make order for those lines, to make sure they're safe. Poma has their job as far as running the tram, and once they cross into the tram area, we're hearing that concern, and we will pass that concern to the appropriate department for that. But PSD, if we take our people off the PSD, if we take our officers off the area that makes it safe so no one falls down the stairs, that's something that's very, very, very serious condition that could happen when you start to get 100 people. Those stairs, that being an elevated platform, that's why the courtyard fills up. I've heard complaints that the courtyard is full, the lines are outrageous. It's because we have 100 people upstairs, we don't allow anyone on the stairs. Because if one person were to fall down the stairs, they would hit into another person, and we'd have a tragedy. So to prevent that, that's why we keep them downstairs. The officers are making sure that everything is safe so that you guys can get up the stairs safely, that the handicapped that are down below can get to the elevator to get up safely, and everyone can get through and it be orderly. So, I really think, I gotta say, I commend the PSD officers I think they're doing a great job. You know, they're working a lot of hours on that tram to make sure everyone is safe. So we will pass that on as far as inside of that area to that appropriate department.
Can you just clarify that ESD does not control the inside of the turnstiles?
Yes.
Yes, that's, we do the outside. That's the job of the tram operator.
I'm sorry, I have to laugh, but I just want to say that at least two times on the promenade, on the east side, I have almost been hit while walking.
Can't hear you.
I have almost been hit walking my dog twice on the promenade on the east side. One vehicle came, and obviously the person was lost, and they thought they could get out on the far end going south. They thought they could get out, and once they realized they couldn't, they did a turn, some kind of U-turn, and sped back down. And I got it. I almost got it. And there was another lady out there, and she was walking her dog for a while, and she looked at me, and she said, "What is that?" I said, "I don't know." But she was walking her dog as well. And another time, I was coming out of the building in the back, 560. I walked up with my dog, and this car stopped like they were coming down to where I was. And I kept walking, and before I realized it, as I was walking, the person drove their vehicle around the walkway out past 580. I don't even know how they got out of that area because it's very small and it's a walkway. And the person sped off. They stood, they sat, and they looked, and then they took off around and came out. And I scratched my head in disbelief, like, what are they doing? And, you know, why are they going this way? Because that's the walkway. Now, had I been in front of them, they wouldn't have known because there's no vision you can see. So that person would have come around that corner and they would have run me over. The other problem is also the tram. Like this lady over here said, that getting on the tram for me is difficult. It's very difficult because people are pushing and shoving and running, you know, to get a seat, and they don't need a seat. Because they end up standing up to take pictures and video anyway, and then they're standing up on top of you like this.
They're just tourists, they're for the ride.
And then they don't want to get off. And I have to tell them when I'm getting off, I say, you have to get off and pay your fare if you want to go back. In regards to the stop signs, I made a suggestion that maybe they should be blinking, because after a certain time of night, these people that are coming here think that Main Street is a drag race area. They think it's a drag race. They don't stop at any of the stop signs. I've been out late, so I'm watching, and I know this. And maybe because they can't see it. I don't know. But that stop sign right there, 558, is always getting knocked down. Always. It's always bent. Like it's been up all night partying or drinking. I mean, you guys have seen it. I'm sure you've seen it where it's bent over. So I'm like, get some flashing lights so these people can see. If they can't, they can make excuses. They can't make excuses during the day, but at night, then they can try, I didn't see it. So if there's something flashing, because I know we don't have stoplights. The island is not that large. I realize that. So flashing stop signs would work really.
Thank you so much. I have seen that also. I will definitely bring that back, that, you know, the stop sign with the flashing lights, you know, it's a suggestion, and I'll bring that back to our transportation and our capital planning. I can say this, that I've been down at the tram, and if there's somebody who you have, you know, the visible, our PSC officers try to help those people get right on and try to get them on the tram first, before anyone else. I've been down there with them. I'm talking about my PSC officers, where if they see somebody, you know, who definitely has something, they try to get you right on the tram before you can, because there's a way that they can do that. They can take you around the other side and make sure that you get on first. I've been down there and I've seen them do this a number of times. I've done it myself. I see somebody who visibly, I see them, somebody's pushing a wheelchair. I tell them to come around the other side, they get on the tram first. And my officers are instructed to do that.
How can you ensure that?
We can't ensure anything. We can't ensure all of this every day. I can't guarantee you that this is going to happen every single day with every single person. But I can tell you this, my officers who are busy keeping the line safe, keeping everyone off the stairs, if they see someone, they will help that person. Or if that person comes to them and say, I need some help, they will definitely do that. I can guarantee you that. If someone comes to them and say, I need help, they will help them. But you're saying, how can I guarantee them to know everyone who needs help? I can't guarantee you that right now. I can't guarantee you that right now. But I can guarantee you this, if somebody asks for help, they will get help.
Inside the stern side?
My officers will help them. If they say, hey, can you help me? I have this challenge. They will get them onto the tram, inside. They can walk anywhere that they want. It's just not their jurisdiction inside the tram, and that's not their post. But if someone comes to my PSC officers and say that they need help, they will help them.
There's nobody in the community that can say they've asked a PSD officer for assistance, and that person has said, that PSD officer says no.
Okay.
I said there's nobody in the community that could say that they've asked one of our PSD officers for assistance, and the PSD officer told them no. We train our officers too well to be courteous and polite to the community, you know, and I'm extremely proud of them for that. Myself and Chief Brown, we are constantly down at the tram on the weekends, on the weekdays, all the time. And our officers go out of their way to be courteous and polite to everybody and try to accommodate. We're supposed to assist people. That's their job as public safety officers, to assist people that need help. So if we're going to say about behind the line, if someone behind the line screamed for help or needed help, my PSD officer isn't going to say, well, there's the line, I don't cross the line. Of course he's going to help that person. You know, that's our job, is to help the public. And I think PSD does a really good job at that. And those officers are there every day, and they stay on top of it. Now there are, like the chief said, we can't guarantee we're going to see every single person or every single person that needs help if they don't ask for it. But just so you know, there are people that come and say, I want to go, and you can't ask me why I need to, I want to go to the front of the line. Well, they're dealt with that. They're yelled at, they're screamed at, and they still are courteous and polite to everybody there. You know, if we want to look at the whole picture is we are doing that for the community, but the community's got to work with us also. Come to us, ask us for help. We'll always give you help. They're instructed to do that. You know, if there's 100 people down in the courtyard, for our offices, we have 4 offices there, to see every single person and say, that person needs help, I know it. You know, that's not realistic, that's not fair. You know, but if that person would ask, you would, without a doubt, help that person out.
So, Chief, I came in to see you a couple years ago about parking on Main Street. I came into your office, spoke to both of you. I spoke to you last time at the meeting here. With congestion pricing coming, with a new humongous building coming, parking's going to be worse on Main Street, not better. You have an easy way out of this. Enforce the street cleaning rules on Main Street. If you enforce them, everyone will have to move once or twice a week. They're not going to be able to stay here, leave their cars, and go to the city. Why not enforce the no parking on Main street cleaning? I don't understand. You have it, you have a street cleaner, and you won't do it.
That's not 1,000% true. This is why we don't do it. Because the street is not being cleaned. And if we were to move the cars and the street is not being cleaned, then I don't think, this is something that we have to work with our other departments in Riyadh. We've told them,
But you have a street cleaner. What do you mean the street's not being cleaned?
well, this, like I just said, this is another department in Riyadh, that we have been talking to about that. We'll move all the cars. We wanna follow the regulations, but if they're not going to clean the streets on those days, we don't make people move unnecessarily.
So you can't coordinate with Riyadh to have a street cleaner come out? I mean, I've been asking you this for years. We have, the signs are there. It's like anarchy. You're just letting it all go without trying to enforce it. Why? Why not use what you have? That's a great weapon you would have to clear the street with cars twice a week, and you don't do it.
It's a department that I have to work with in Riyadh.
Another question, a quick one, is the cage in front of Bread and Butter on the street. The buses can't pull into the normal bus stop, so they park on the crosswalk. Why does that cage have to be there?
Well, this is what happened in front of Bread and Butter. I don't know if you're aware of this, but there was a lot of drug dealing going on in front of Bread and Butter.
But I think you've taken care of
Let
that.
him answer your question.
So there was drug dealing going on in front of Bread and Butter. There was a stabbing there where somebody almost lost their life. And this was an open air market in front of Bread and Butter. They were pulling up and parking on there. So, as in the model of the NYPD, we stopped those cars from pulling up and parking right in front of Bread and Butter and running inside to buy drugs. And that's why that is there.
And we spoke with the fire marshal and coordinated it with the fire marshal. And just so everyone understands, there are certain things in law enforcement that myself and Chief Brown do that are for the safety of the public that aren't announced to the public. For instance, we got probably about 50 to 100 complaints about blocking that fire hydrant area. And it was in the middle of a narcotics operation that was going on there. Now, if I would have told the community, oh, well, we blocked it because we're doing a narcotics operation and we're buying drugs over there, we would have compromised the undercover officers that were involved in the narcotics operation. We took down that narcotics operation and apprehended and arrested with a joint partnership with the NYPD. After we took down the barricades around that fire hydrant for that double parking area. After we took down the caves, I don't know if you guys remember, but it was gone for a while. After the stabbing happened, there was more issues that were going on at that location. That stabbing happened inside the basement of the Bread and Butter. So we felt that it was safe for the community because of our experience in narcotics work, that again, we would have to make that a safe area for the community. When a car pulls up and has to double park in the middle of the street to buy drugs, he's more reluctant to do that. Whereas if he can pull up on the hydrant and buy drugs, he feels a little bit more calm and relaxed. So by doing that, what we're preventing is the drug dealing that's going on in that area. We explained that at the last meeting. We had explained that at the last meeting that we had here, when someone else brought up about those barricades there. Said it was unsafe for the fire department. It was very safe. We would never do anything that's unsafe for the community as far as fire hydrants are concerned. So there are certain things that we do in the community that are to better your everyday lifestyle here, so that we keep away some of the undesirables or some of the undesirable activity that goes on in New York City.
We're coming up on time here, so I just want to make sure we get to everybody for the first question. Okay, here, and then Matt.
I know you don't speak at these meetings. I just wanted to speak on what you just spoke about the deli. The Bread and Butter market, sorry. I've been doing this for so long, so it's always down to the deli. It's such an issue with the barricade. I'm not asking about the barricade so much so, because I was at the last meeting and you said why the barricade was there. How come it hasn't been shut down, is my question. if it was issues after you, because I'm sorry, let me just finish this, my thought up real quick. If it was such an issue after the stabbing and all these other issues, then why is the bread and butter market still open? If after the stabbing and the issues with, undercover drug buys and yada, 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 that's what I'm asking.
Us at PSD, we don't have the power to shut down the deli, but we do have the power to keep that area safe and monitor it and make sure that people are not pulling up as they had usually had done in the area. And we work with NYPD, and when they have something going on, we know about it, but we kind of have to leave that to NYPD in their jurisdiction at this time.
I have a question about the tram and the PSD officers past the turnstiles. So during all of COVID, PSD officers are riding every single tram ride, making sure everyone is wearing a mask. Can you explain why PSD can be posted on the tram rides past the turnstile during COVID, but not now?
We have to shift our manpower. We don't have an infinite number of officers. During COVID, that is what the focus was at that time. We made sure that people had their masks on. At this time right now, with the F train shut down, the shuttle, and we need to control the lines downstairs. So we have to shift our manpower. We don't have 100 PSD officers and we put them everywhere. We have to prioritize. And our priority right now is making sure that everyone is safe getting on and off the tram.
I just want to get back to one issue about parking, and I don't want to hand it, but this woman, I think, has a brilliant idea. I never thought of how difficult it is for the people in Manhattan Park to drive to where they come. I call it the parking lot, that they literally have to drive on the sidewalk, and I really, really, really don't understand how that's done. I'm not an attorney, but it just doesn't seem, it was not designed for parking, but if you have to drive on a sidewalk to get to a place to park, that there to me seems like it's totally not correct. So if nothing else, they get ticketed for driving on the park, on the sidewalk. I also noticed that the school here, not the child school, there's parking there. So there are, all over the island, there are egregious rules that are being broken at the Breezeway. There's so many, and for some of us who've been here for many, many years, this is turning into something that we didn't sign up for.
Manhattan, if we're looking at Manhattan Park, it would be unfair for us to not allow, if they're going to allow people to park on that area, and then we shut them off from coming and going, parking is very limited. Well, the reason why the people are parking down there at Manhattan Park is because they cannot get into the motorcade. That is why the Manhattan, specifically Manhattan Park, that is why they have allowed the parking. This is also their property.
I don't say it's not fair as part of this.
There's a lot of, it seems like a lot of second questions that are coming up from people. We're coming up on time. I just want to make sure that we get everybody with their first question, and that we'll be around after the meeting for the second one and the follow-ups. So if you could hold it for that, I just want to see, does anybody else have anything? First question. We'll have time after the chat.
So if I could just say this, because we hear you. We hear you. We have to help out with the parking. That we need to make sure the street is clean. We hear this, and we go back to our bosses. We have bosses. We have bosses that we report back to. And then we try to get this stuff done. So we hear you. We take this back, and we try to address the concerns of the community.
But the egress thing is real, and that's a way that we can avoid these people driving on the sidewalks and to get these parking spaces that, I mean, I don't think it's right to say it's not fair to tell Manhattan Park they can't park there. You can say, fine, you can park there, but your vehicles have to get there in a legal and safe manner.
Manhattan Park actually has a driveway area that pulls right up in front of their building. And you can get access it right there.
Yeah.
Manhattan Park actually has an access point where they can, that's actually their property, that they access where, when they made that parking lot.
Once they can get around.
So they could get around. And they, as you go around that little horseshoe turn, you enter right into that area that they made into a parking lot. What we made very, very clear to all of the management departments was they were not to access through the promenades or the seawall area. There is no driving. We put signs up. We are enforcing that. We will enforce it more. We will give summons more. We give lots of summonses out to the point where people come into PSD and complain about the number of summonses that we're given. But if we catch anybody driving on the seawall, we give the summonses out. And you know, I did hear all your complaints about, I listened to your thing, and if there was a PSD officer called or there, he would have gave that person summons. We're enforcing reckless driving on the island. We had 12 last month. And what reckless driving is if we catch them, instead of giving someone just a moving summons, if we catch them violating, like these cars that you were talking about speeding down Main Street, if they violate 3 traffic signals, that's considered reckless driving. That's an arrest. That's not a summons. That person goes to jail. We vouched their vehicle. So we did it 12 times in August. 12 times. To the point where they said, this is like, why are you harassing these people? They're constantly blowing the stop signs. Also, the blinking stop signs, it was addressed in either the last meeting, it was brought up. There is still a traffic study that's being done, and that was brought up in the traffic study, that's part of the traffic study. We are all for the blinking stop signs. There's an island-wide traffic study being done. And with signage, I don't know if people that have been here for a while can remember that.
Yeah, nothing's happened.
Well, that's not public safety's department, Judy, and you know that because we've talked about it numerous times.
I still want my pass to Polar.
We've talked about it numerous times. And that traffic study, when it's complete, I'm sure those, and the traffic study is not done by public safety, just so you understand. We have an entity doing that. But we are enforcing everything that we see there, guys. The bicycle officers have allowed us to even patrol areas on the seawall that we weren't able to. We heard last time that we should be running after them down the seawall on the scooters. You know, we had said that was impossible for us to do. We were like told, why can't you do that? So what we did was we got our guys on bikes. We did the bike training so they could actually have bicycles, so they could, you know, catch up to these people that were on the scooters. You know, also a lot of the violators are a lot of the delivery. And then when we summons a delivery, we get phone calls saying, why are we constantly harassing the delivery people that are coming to the island? Well, they have to abide by the rules. And a lot of the delivery cabs and a lot of the deliveries that are pulling up, they know the rules. So we are enforcing it. We're writing a lot of summons. This is one street, and I think we wrote a lot of, I don't have the stats in front of me. We wrote a lot of summonses in the last month. Our officers are out there consistently writing summonses. One of the other good things, just so you guys know, I don't want to step my boundaries, but we just hired some new officers that are going to be starting to be trained that will help us with our manpower. So that we can get more people that can go through the process. There's a process for them to get their special patrol status to write summonses. So we have some new officers. We're happy to have them.
Are they additions or replacements?
People that we were down a few officers. We got them. You know, we interviewed them, and I think the number is 6 or 7 officers that we have that will be starting by the end of the month. So we're going to get them trained as quickly as we can in the state, their peace officer status and their special patrolman status, so that they can make arrests and write summonses. So we are working diligently to make sure everything is safe. And when the chief said there's no guarantees, we can't make guarantees. In law enforcement, there are no guarantees. All we can do is work as hard as we possibly can to keep this island safe. And I think Chief Brown goes, head over heels to do that. He listens to everybody and he addresses every single thing and brings every single thing to Mr. Haynes and we work on it and we make sure that the things that you're saying to us, even this meeting, we used to have a meeting with 5 people on the Zoom. We changed that so that more people could come and express their concerns to us. So more people would know what we are doing in the community to make your island safe.
Cars are there, but they do all of the surrounding areas. They do the loop. I walk every morning. I see the maintenance guys on this island are fantastic.
The plan is that we will address that internally and then try to come up with a game plan moving forward. We are past 7 o'clock now. I know we're at the second wave of questions here. If we could just save them until after. Judy, do you want to talk about the MTA thing tomorrow?
What I want to talk about is very easy. There's a bench inside the tram station in Manhattan. There's a bench inside. The bench should have a sign. Whatever the challenged people, disabled people, old people, reserved for them. So our tram staff knows if they see these people sitting on the bench, get them on the cabin. Most of our tram staff knows the residents. They know the people. They know who we are. They know us too well sometimes. And, if our tram staff sees people that they know who are seniors, disabled, or challenged, they get them on the cabin. But I think that bench should not be reserved for tourists who have tired feet. I love tourists, but no, it should be reserved for people, whatever the politically correct thing is, because that way the tram staff will see them and they know who it is and get them on the cabin. Hopefully it's after Labor Day and everyone has visited New York and they've gone home to their other countries, and they won't be back till Thanksgiving.
I think we should mention not all disabilities.
Yeah, well, put a sign on it.
And there's an MTA mural dedication tomorrow from 4 to 7.
You can't just, there are more than just visible disabilities, everybody.
Right.
And to be fair, if a tourist has a disability, we're going to show the same courtesy, whether they know that you're a resident or not.
Right, and I'll just make that
just so
clear
you
to people.
know.
Like I have a very close friend who just had a double lung transplant.
Okay, but that doesn't.
It's out of breath. You can't see that.
Okay.
I think we have to cut it here. So for the evening. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. We'll stick around for some questions after.